Feinstein asked the question. This chapter 16 talks about Yom Kippur. Talks about the ritual that was done in the temple on Yom Kippur by Aaron. But if you look at chapter 16, it doesn't talk about Yom Kippur, until the very end. Only at the very end does it talk about Yom Kippur. When does it talk about Yom Kippur? When it states in verse 29 and 30, it says, this will be an atonement for you, a law for you on the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month. You shall afflict your souls. Don't do any work. That's the first time Yom Kippur is mentioned in this whole passage. And then it says in verse 30, this will be the day of atonement for you. To atone for you. Up until then, it doesn't mention Yom Kippur. So Moshe Feinstein asked the fundamental question: why is Yom Kippur only mentioned at the end of the portion, not the beginning? Why is Yom Kippur only mentioned at the end of the portion, not the beginning? And this is a fundamental question. So Moshe Feinstein's answer in the Darash Moshe, he says as follows. He says, let me just read his question. He, of course, will ask it better than me. It says, the Torah in this parasha says, it's going gadol, cannot enter the Holy of Holies at will, but only if he brings certain animal and incense sacrifices. The parasha that mentions that this is the procedure followed on Yom Kippur. The connection with Yom Kippur is not mentioned until the 29th verse of this parasha, several verses before the end. So why is this? So Rashi indicates that even Aaron was only allowed to enter on Yom Kippur. So Rav Moshe Feinstein asks the question: if this parasha is only relevant on Yom Kippur, it should be mentioned. Yom Kippur should be mentioned at the beginning of the parasha. So why do we have to wait till the end? So the answer is that to enter the Holy of Holies, one must be on a very elevated spiritual level. To reach that level, you have to study how one acts in the Holy of Holies. Basically, you can't just go into Yom Kippur. The point is that you need to study it for the whole year leading up to Yom Kippur. And so basically the point is, the more the holy the day is, the more preparation we need to study it. And that's why there needs to be, that's the message that Rav Moshe says, is the message of why we have to study that's why Yom Kippur comes only at the end of the passage, to tell us that we can only get to Yom Kippur if we first read the first 28 verses of this portion. And so too with the concept of Yom Kippur today. This is the big mistake that overwhelming majority of the people who go to the prayers on Yom Kippur make, is they just show up to pray on Yom Kippur without studying what Yom Kippur is about, without trying to internalize the message of Yom Kippur. And it's not going to work. That's what Rav Moshe says, that the study about Yom Kippur is itself one of the elements necessary to create the power of Yom Kippur. So this is just, like proof text number 1 billion about how the study is the essential to the prayers. You can't pray until you study about the meaning of the prayers. Yesterday in our yeshiva, Rabbi Anna Mintz gave a beautiful lecture about the meaning of the Shabbos prayers. And I admit that myself, I even though I'm a rabbi, I learned so much from that shiur that Rabbi Anna Mintz gave. But the point is that without studying about the prayers, without studying about Yom Kippur, we're missing the whole message. And that's why Yom Kippur only comes at the end of the passage. That's the message of Rav Moshe Feinstein. All right, I'll just pause for a second in case anybody has any questions about this. I don't see any questions, but I'll just pause anyway.